Hey guys, Kenny here, Ken Small Engines. Just a little apology for the quality of the audio in this video. I did have the wireless microphone turned on for most of it, but the battery in the microphone portion obviously wasn't recharged sufficiently, died out, and I have some crappy audio. So bear with me. I think you'll enjoy the video about this Briggs EX engine. See if I get it back together successfully and see if I get it running. Enjoy it. We will talk to you soon. All right, guys, this is part 2 of the Briggs EX engine that had the dropped exhaust valve seat. And people have been asking me, service manuals, where do I go for information on the Briggs EX? Well, the Briggs EX never really had a service manual that I know of. My dealer said they didn't really have a big service manual like you find with the L heads and all the overheads. What they did have was, it's called Advanced Product Service Information, or APS. And if you go online and you type in APSI, or service information, APSI number 85, dated July of 2012. That's when they introduced the E and the EX series engines. And what this is a 13-page document that tells you everything about the EX engines. I'll leave the link to it in the description so you could get a free download as a PDF. But basically this has everything about the engines, how to service them, dimensions, all the torques, everything about this engine, how it works, how the breather system works, how the rocker arms work, how to torque the head down, all this stuff. What the springs mean on the governor for RPM, what to set them to. It's basically got everything in this thing, all right? Where that breather is underneath that I discovered, that was underneath the flywheel plate, all right? How everything bolts up. It's a really good document. It's got all your torques and everything else. Again, it's called APSI number 85, APSI number 85. That will give you all the information you'll ever need on a Briggs EX engine. And the reason I looked this up too, I wanted to know what to torque the head bolts to, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So this is the information. There is no technical service manual for an EX. You download APSI 85, and you can do a Google search, APSI 85 PDF, and you'll see it. Okay. So the head came in, the dealer warrantied the head. Here is what came in, and let me open up this box, get it spread out for you, and we'll see what exactly comes in this box. We'll be right back. All right, let me take this box apart. Let's see what we got in here. Get my glasses on so I can see. All right, let's see what we got. Date code on this 2233, so I'm assuming it's the 33rd week of 2022. Let's cut her open. All right, we have, oh, look at this, pretty cool. We have a rubber valve cover gasket. The original one was just silicone in there. All right, we have a box of parts. I'll show you what's in there. And we have a cylinder head, fully built cylinder head. Look at that. And this head, on the receipt from the dealer cost on this head, the dealer cost is $79. Now, oh, I noticed something missing. If you look on this head, all right, it's got the piece on top of the lifter here, but there's none over here. I don't see it. Maybe it's in the bag. If it's not in the bag, I'll have to take one off the new engine or the old engine, but you need those things for the valve rocker to push against. Why isn't it there? Interesting. Huh, I hope it's in the bag. Let's see if did it fall in the box? Yep, it fell in the box. Oh, there we go, guys. It fell in the box. So I'll put it back on. It fell in the box. So we'll get that back on there. All right. So we got the head, we got the gasket. Let's see what comes in the paper bag. We get a new head gasket, which you need. And it comes also with a new intake gasket, the orange intake gasket and the orange exhaust gasket. So it comes with that. It comes with a note. Use the parts that match the ones removed from the engine. Okay? Good to know. This bag isn't marked with a part number, but it's what comes in it. So here we go, guys. Let me show you exactly what's here. All right, so it came with a cylinder head, and like I said, this cover here for the valve was sitting in the box. It fell off. So you have your full cylinder head, as you can see, brandy new. You get a rubber valve cover gasket for that crazy looking valve cover. Originally they came with silicone, so I'm going to have to scrape off the silicone and put this rubber one on, which is pretty good. I got to see what the part number is for that. You get intake and intake for the carb and exhaust. I think that gasket is on the back of the carburetor, if I'm not mistaken, but whichever one matches, it may just be this one I use, okay? You do get the head gasket. I did buy a head gasket because I didn't know if it would come with one. So I've got my instructions here in the APSI number 85. I'm going to wheel that mower out here. I'm going to take the head off, and we'll put it on, and we'll see if we can fire her up. All right, we'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, this is just a Toro. It's called a Toro 21 self-propel. It's not recycler. It's none of that stuff. It's just a regular Toro self-propel. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take off the shroud on top, and we'll get to business. What I did on this, I just put the head bolts like finger tight. I didn't really tighten them. Let's see what size those are. And I kept the carburetor and everything hooked up, so I don't want to have to worry about it. I think they're 3/8. Yeah, or either 3/8. Like I said, everything is disconnected. I took off the this as an assembly. I think I started the bottom screw, and that way I'll just transfer whatever I need from this assembly to the new one. Come on, people. That one's in there. Alright, so let's take this off. Oh, the fuel line is attached. Is there fuel in here? Shouldn't be any fuel. Alright. I'll take it off with the gas tank. Alright. The spark plug. Okay. Here we go, guys. Here's the whole ball of wax. All right, your cylinder head, your carburetor, your muffler, everything's right there. All right. Set that aside for a minute. All right, so the head gasket these never come off easy, and they always get stuck on there. So I'm gonna get my scraper, I'm gonna scrape that off, get it nice and clean. I'll be right back when it's all clean, and we'll start putting this thing together, okay? I'll be right back. Like I said, this engine basically has about 10 hours on it. It doesn't have a lot of hours. So this gasket should come off like butter. There shouldn't be anything really sticking like crazy to it. Even the carbon on the ring up top, you wipe with your finger, comes right off because it's that new. Like I said, there's really not much on this gasket. A lot of it's discoloration. There really isn't really gasket material left on here. It's pretty flat. Pretty flat. A little bit right here. Just a little, not much. Not much at all. Yeah, a lot of it's discoloration. Okay. Alright, that should be it for the gasket material. Alright. Now it's time to transfer everything over from the head. So what we'll do, let's put that new head on. We can do that, and then once you put the new head on, we can transfer everything over that needs to be there. Let me get the bolts all set for that. I'll be right back, guys. All right, everything's clean. I always put a little dab of lubricant on the bolts before I put them in. So a little WD, some WD on the heads of the bolts, help them go in. Okay. All right, we got the new gasket, we got the new head. This is the way it goes. Okay. And the way the gasket goes, all right. Oh, yeah, that was good, Kenny. Lose a head bolt. All right. So the gasket could go on one of two ways. So I'm trying to think which way would be the best way. I don't know if it matters. Let me look in that instruction sheet to show if it's a good way to go on, because you know what? I didn't look at it coming off. But I do remember this was on the inside So it looks like it's gonna go this way with the tab facing down. All right. So tab facing down, that's the way it's gonna go. All right. Clean off this bolt that fell on the ground. Put a little lubricant on it. Let's start these bolts. All right, now I'm going to look in that manual just to see if it shows the head gasket with that flange, just to make sure I'm right. I think I am, but I just want to check that manual. See if it shows a picture of it. Hope it does. If not, I'll go back and look at the video and see what it looked like. Actually, I can go over to the parts end. You know what? Why don't we do this? Why don't we go over to the parts engine? Let's see what part of that gasket is sticking down on the parts engine. All right, here's the parts engine. If I'm right, the little Briggs triangle will be on the bottom, and let's see. Oh yeah, it is. The Briggs yep, there you go. You can, I don't know if you can see it out there. There it is right there. That little black part of the gasket is sitting to the bottom right. So I got the gasket on correctly. All right, I just wanted to verify that it was on correctly. Sorry if this video's taking longer than it should. I just want to be thorough with this thing. I've had it so darn long. All right. Okay. Tighten up these bolts. It is 10 millimeter. And guess what I don't have out here? 10 millimeter. I'll be right back, guys. We got 10 millimeter. We'll sock this thing down. All right. Now we have a torque reading for the head bolts, and there's a picture of it right here. Okay, in the manual it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And it says torque them to what's provided in the APSI. Okay, so in the APSI in the back, here we go. Specification, fastener torque. Cylinder head to cylinder block, 130 inch-pounds, or pound-inches it says, inch-pounds, 130. So we will get the torque wrench, the inch-pound torque wrench. We'll set it to 130 inch-pounds, and we'll proceed to torque. All right, 130. there's 130. What we'll do is we'll go a little bit at first to each one, and then we'll take it there. We'll go a little bit at a time, and then we'll get it to the 130. Come on. I like to go a little at a time. Oh, that one went. So that one went. That one went. That one went. And you got to go around it a couple of times because it will relax that gasket. And you go around till it clicks immediately. If it moves and then clicks, go around again. Yeah, these are all. And I could check these after it warms up and do a few thermal cycles. Okay, all right. Those are torqued. So a couple things I gotta do now. I have to put the push rods in, get those set up, and then after I get the push rods set up, I gotta put the carburetor on, put the exhaust on, and then we're ready to go. So let me grab the push rods. They didn't bend. The ones that were in there, they didn't bend. So let me get those. I'll be right back. All right, I realized I didn't have my new wireless microphone on, so if the volume up until this point stunk, that's why. So let's see. All right, we got the push rod, so we'll stick in the first push rod. All right. Let's get it so it's at the bottom of its travel. Nope, I don't think I'm in the socket. You gotta make sure you're in the socket. Oop. Let's see. You know what I have to do? I'm gonna clip down the brake so I can spin the engine freely. I'm gonna look in there with a light and make sure I got these push rods in correctly. So let me get them set up and then I'll be right back, guys. Okay? All right, we have the push rods in. You can see, can you see? Yeah, you can see. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see that they're functioning properly. The exhaust intake compression's coming out, you can hear it. And what's funny is I brought up my feeler gauges, okay, because these things, according to this, they're supposed to be, let's see what they're supposed to be. Let's see. Cylinder head. Let's see. I think they're 5 to 8 thousandths is the recommended gap. Let's see what it says in here. There we go. That's the cylinder head, carburetor. It's a pretty good book, this APSI 85. All right, exhaust valve clearance, 4 to 8 thousandths on each. Okay, I usually set them to 5 on the low end. Low end is 4. I set them for 5 tight, so that way as they wear, they'll get looser. And I put a 5 thousandths in each one. They're beautiful. They work great. All right, so I didn't have to adjust anything. In there, though, they have an actual torque setting on these nuts, but these are like nylock nuts or jam nuts. So I don't know why you would use a torque. You'd use it once you set it, you're done. There's no key for Allen or anything, nothing in there to lock them. It's just a lock nut. These are interference nuts, so they will stay put. All right, while I'm here, this thing's been sitting for a while. Let's check the torque again. See if it moved at all. Nope. 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 And the last one. Nope. Okay, torque is staying. That's good. All right. Now we've got to put the valve cover on. We'll put the valve cover on. We'll put those bolts in. Put the carburetor on. Put the exhaust on. And we'll see what happens. All right. We will see what happens. Be back in a minute. All right, we're back. All right, rocker cover. I like the rubber gasket. It's a lot nicer than the silicone that was in there before. Make sure there's no dirt or debris in there. Now it calls out 30 inch-pounds. Well, you know what, guys? I don't feel like getting an adapter for my torque wrench to go from 3/8 to 1/4 inch for that. So I'm just going to put these in. And I'm going to do them what I think is 30 inch-pounds. All right. I can hear everybody with their leaf blowers today. It's a beautiful day to do leaves. It's about 50 degrees, or it's going to be 50. It's a really nice day today. Oh. All right. Sorry if my jacket got in the way. To make it easy, I'm going to sock them with the impact real quick. Then I'll finish them up by hand. All right. Yeah, the threads in this valve cover here, the threads in this piece weren't fully formed, so it was tough getting them started. All right. Okay, valve cover secure. Now we just have to put the carburetor on here, the muffler on there, and we'll be set. So let me get that squared away, and I'll be right back. All right, the other gasket that was included in the kit goes in the back of the intake manifold, okay? So the intake manifold, these two screws, 5/16 head, they go on there, then the carburetor goes right on top of that. All right, so we'll put that on, then we'll get the muffler, and we'll be right back. Okay, the exhaust manifold, as I said, or the intake manifold goes on, 5/16 heads on those. Okay, the torque is in the specifications in there. I just did it by hand because, like I said, I've been doing this for so long. I don't have to worry about some of these torques. But anyway, now we're gonna put the carburetor on. Once the carburetor goes on, we can put the exhaust on, connect the choke, and we're gonna be very close to starting this thing. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, guys, time for the exhaust. So the first thing you do with the exhaust, you put the linkage into the choke right here. Put the linkage into the choke linkage right there. All right, bring it around. Stick the exhaust in the hole. Line up the bosses where the screw goes. There's no gasket. The muffler goes right into the hole in the cylinder head. All right. Then you got two 5/16 headed screws, and I'm going to start them manually by hand because I don't want to strip anything. So you got your linkage hooked up. All right, so now let's start these 5/16 headed screws. Okay, that one started. Let's get the bottom one started. And there's a hole in there so you can get to it. The socket can go in and you can get to it. All right, that's going. So now we can use the impact to drive them in. Top. Alright, exhaust is in, the choke is in, it's not hitting the bracket where they normally hit up here, so that's good. Alright, so basically guys, all we got to do now, we got to put on the air cleaner cover, connect the linkage for the governor, put on the air cleaner base, the fuel tank, and then we'll be ready. So let's, I should have put this in earlier, but sometimes you could bend, you know what? Let me pull this out a little bit so I can get this linkage on for the governor. And when you do that, this O-ring comes off, which is the seal that's on the back of the carburetor. So if it does come off, make sure you push it back in. It snaps right in. And I'm going to take a little WD and I'm going to lube that intake coming out so the O-ring slides on nice and easy. All right, now put on your governor link. All right, then put on your choke link. Now slide your carburetor in. And with the WD on there, it slides on like butter. So we got our governor hooked up, we got our choke hooked up, carburetor's on, muffler's on. Now we just have to put on the air cleaner cover. And that's got the 2 different size screws in it. It's got 2 5/16 screws and it's got 2 like 9/64 or metric. I think they're 8 and 7 millimeter. So we'll make sure we hook that up. Our breather. Let's get these screws going too. It's a little bit of work, but not difficult. Actually not difficult at all. But I'm trying to do it slow enough so I can show you guys, and trying to video one person, oh shoot. Trying to video one person is tough. Especially I'm doing it outside too. All right, so I'm starting the outside. The heads are 5/16 or 8 millimeter. Oh, where is that? Those are started. Then the other ones are 9/32, and I will start those. Actually, I'll finish them too. Those are the ones that go into the plastic, the smaller head on the inside, and I'll show you a picture of that in a second before I tighten them, because you can't see it right now. So let me take the camera, bring you over. All right, basically I'm taking the 2 on the sides there, those are 5/16 head, those are 9/32 head. I'm gonna screw those on, then our air cleaner base is done. Then basically we're gonna put the top cover back on with the shoulder bolts, 5/16, and then we're ready to start. Well, fuel tank's got to go back on, and then we'll start her up, or I hope we start her up. So let's see what happens, guys. All right, let's tighten down the insides first, put you into the plastic. There are torques for all this. It's in the manual. The torques are there. But you know what, guys? I've done it long enough. I'm not going to over torque them. All right, James Condon is probably rolling around saying, "Kenny, torque him!" He's Mr. Torque Wrench. But for me, click, there's my torque. Unless it's critical like a head bolt. All right. Let's get this going. Click, click, click. Okay. So, that's all done. We can wipe this off. That's just garbage. All right, that's all done. So now, basically, fuel tank. Oh, spark plug. We need one of those. We need a spark plug. I've got to get a 5/8 spark plug socket. I'll be right back. I got to take out the spark plug and put it in the new head. Yeah. Now this thing takes an RN14YC2, I think is the plug. It's a weird plug, but Briggs says you can use an RC12YC, which is the most popular for their overhead valve. So that's what I'm using. Actually, that's what this had in it. Don't cross-thread it, Kenny. It's a brand new head. There we go. And this washer's already been crushed, so I don't have to worry about over torquing and retorquing and all that. All right. There we go. All right. Plug goes under the choke. Goes on like that. That's done. Gas tank. Now this gas tank, doesn't smell too bad. I'm gonna put some fresh gas in there, shake it up a little bit, drain out the fresh gas, make sure, because what's coming out now is a little yellow. Then I'll hook it up. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of yellow coming out of there. I want to get rid of any of that yellow stuff. Make sure it's fresh fuel going into that carburetor. So let me fill this up with some fresh fuel, shake it around a little bit, mount it, put the cover on, which is just the 3 screws up here, 5/16. And the next time you see this thing, guys, it's gonna be in the driveway and I'm gonna be pulling the cord. So I'll be right back. This tank is very simple. It just clips on just like this. Boom, you clip it right on, connect up the fuel line, you're done. Very simple. All right, I'll be back in a minute and hopefully we'll see this thing fire off. All right, guys, moment of truth. This thing's been sitting here since May. It's now November. Figured it out. It was a dropped seat on the head. For those that didn't see the first video, I'll leave the link. Basically, the exhaust valve seat, you could see, came detached, caused 0 compression. That was the problem. Briggs & Stratton warranted the head because the engine wasn't even 2 years old. All right, cross our fingers. I don't know, let's see. Here we go. Sweet sound of victory, guys. Let's try it one more time. I love it. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. It was a long journey, but it wasn't too painful. It's a Briggs EX engine. It's got the auto choke on it, so it's EX. The ones with the primers are called E engine. So, hey, if yours doesn't start and you have no compression, it's not the camshaft a lot of times in these. Sometimes it is, but in this case, it was a exhaust valve seat. So 4 bolts, take the head off, check it out. It's not too bad, not too bad of a job. I hope you guys followed me on this. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, let me know, but we got this thing ready to go and I'm gonna bring it back to the owner and he's gonna be one happy fella. All right, guys, that's it for me. We will talk to you soon. I'll leave the link for the instructions for the EX, this advanced product service information, bulletin number 85. I'll leave the link in the description. Hey, if you work on a lot of these EX engines, download it. It's got all the torque specs, got everything about these engines, okay? All right, guys, that's it for me. We'll talk to you soon.